Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick, spiritual life coach. Thank you for tuning in to Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. And this week, the topic is healing. From Rumi, the wound is the place where the light enters you. If you happen to be listening to this episode before the 30th of November 2023, I want to invite you to a free online workshop which is going to be happening at 7 p.m. GMT, so 7 p.m. UK time. I'm going to be holding a free online workshop where I'll be sharing with you 3 steps to vocal confidence. The workshop is interactive. I'll be guiding you through practices for each of the steps, so you'll be able to experience shifts for each step that then you can implement immediately in your life. This is my invitation to you. It's free. Be open, be ready to participate with any questions. The link to sign up to join the webinar is in the show notes. And also, if you haven't already, remember that with every episode of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations, you'll also receive an additional email that if you sign up to the mailing list, that will hit your inbox on a Monday. Within that, what you're going to get is additional notes for your own self-development spiritual journey as well. So it will be links to additional resources. Also, I'll be sharing with you things that you can incorporate in your meditation, your contemplation, your journaling. This is all about us reaching and teaching each other. So if you haven't already, do join via the link in the show notes, and you'll also receive the Embody Higher Energetic Resonance course. Rachel Naomi Remen. Healing may not be so much about getting better as about letting go of everything that isn't you, all of the expectations, all of the beliefs, and becoming who you are. So healing is such a big subject within the spiritual and the wellness and the mindfulness community. It is such an important part of our growth and our expansion. And also it's something that I think that it's only been in recent years and in our particular generation, I'd say within the past 20 or 30 years or so, that it's been something that we've personally embarked on and seen the importance of. If I think about my mother's generation, this is definitely not something that anyone really spoke about. Thinking about why they did the things that they did and tracing back where those areas might have come from, where their traumas, where their beliefs, where the things that were energetically and developmentally holding them in one place may have come from. A lot of the time the belief was that it was kind of their fate, that this was the way that their life was, and to an extent also taking on that they were deserved of being stuck in these positions. Now moving forward, we have a different awareness and a different understanding of these things, and seeing that we're actually able to heal ourselves or work with others to bring healing into our lives. When we're understanding healing from a spiritual context, it's then understanding that healing goes deeper with us. It's not just about healing ourselves through any kind of physical ailments that we may be experiencing. And in fact, if we look at the deeper emotional aspects that we need to heal or feel that we need to heal, that if we can deal and direct our attention to releasing ourselves from whatever we are attached to in that aspect, will actually prevent us from experiencing many of the physical ailments that happen to us. And also as well, like healing never really is done. There's always another layer of something to uncover. So it's just as we're moving forward through this life that we are, as we embark on our healing, we allow ourselves to release as things arrive. And, you know, I'll talk a bit more about this later, is that then I think that there is a tendency and a possibility sometimes to get stuck in the healing loop. Because we are interconnected with our mind and our body and our spirit on a spirit level, when we go on an energetic level and start to heal, that is then going to affect everything about us in our own experience, and then also affect the experience of people around us. The more healed we are, the more patient and tolerant and compassionate we are to others, the more that we can then also recognize when other people are in pain, recognize why people do things that would hurt us and could take us down. A lot of the time they are playing out from their own unhealed areas and the areas that they're unconsciously projecting out to us or lashing out to us, and their behaviors are a reflection of the lack of healing that they've taken on board. The importance of allowing ourselves to heal what comes up for us is a way that we can contribute to well-being on all levels of our experience. And one of the biggest lessons we can learn when it comes to healing is the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness for where we've been. Forgiveness in the healing process is probably the most transformative power within that. People will find healing, profound healing with themselves for forgiving others the way that they've shown up, because people are lashing out to us or people's behaviour towards us is because of a lack of their own healing within themselves, or them not noticing something, or their lack of being able to forgive any perceived slight. We also need to then forgive ourselves for just not knowing what we know now, or the way and the things that we may have done. As long as we know that when we were doing something, it was just from a place of not knowing, from a place of unconsciousness, and releasing ourselves from the ties of that. And also, when it comes to expecting closures and forgiveness from other people, sometimes that may never happen, and we will keep ourselves in a loop of attachment and expectation from someone who is unlikely to be able to ever offer us the forgiveness that we want. The quote is, move and live your life as if you received the apology that you will never get. And that's the power that you have to break that cycle and break yourself away from that. And that in itself is healing. Keeping yourself waiting for somebody else to close the door on something or explain their behavior away is keeping ourselves in a position of disempowerment. The more that we can just let something be, and by forgiving doesn't mean that we don't forget. By forgiving doesn't mean that we don't set a parameter and a boundary around ourselves of what we choose to accept as others' behaviours or treatments of us. When we empower and fortify ourselves with the ability to know that we deserve the best treatment, and that's just by freeing others, freeing ourselves from that. And then that comes into being compassionate, self-compassionate, self-love. When it comes to on the journey of healing, healing can often be so painful, especially if we're reliving a situation, and allowing ourselves to actually experience the emotions that a lot of the time we may have spent many years, many ways of trying to not experience the pain of what it is that we're feeling. Healing often happens so much easier if we allow ourselves to have that pain and that emotion move through us. And that may mean letting go of the crutches that we use to diminish that pain within us. It could be addictive eating. It could be any addictive behavior, drugs, sex, shopping, social media, TV. There's so many ways that we can numb ourselves out and keep ourselves away from feeling what it is that we need to feel. And knowing that allowing ourselves to feel those emotions, it actually moves through us so much quicker than if we're trying to spend so much time in avoidance of what it is that emotion is just trying to show us. If we allow ourselves to experience the pain, if we allow ourselves to be truthful about the emotion that we're trying to avoid, and truthful about how much we have been hurt in a situation, sometimes the realization of how bad we were treated, or how bad we allowed ourselves to be treated, or how bad a situation was, is often the part that we don't want to take on board, because the reality of it is so enormous. Healing for me is freedom. Healing for me is just loosening those binds of staying in that perpetual pain, that unconscious not understanding why life isn't working out the way that it is, or the way that you would want it to. But then also realizing that the power rests in your perspective, and the power rests in the way that you want to move into the space and the energetics and the being that you want to be in this world. And there are so many approaches, holistic approaches and spiritual practices for healing. Pretty much all of my interviewees on Her Conversations are healers in their own right. It just depends on what it is that you want to heal, and the practitioner that is offering the method and the modality that speaks to what it is that you want to address at that point in time. If I think of some of the most recent interviews that I've had, it can be things from healing our mindset, it can be working on forgiveness, it can be working on relationships, it can be working on feminine energy, it can be working on womb health, it can be working with astrology to kind of open up our eyes to who we are. There are so many different modalities out there. There are so many practitioners. There are so many people who are indeed the wounded healer that have gone through their own transformation, have seen what life has shown them, have moved through it and found a path that has given them some sort of perspective that they realize that this is what my life was about. This is the reason that I went through what I went through, because now I've come on the other side and I can create something that is going to help other people have an easier time of what I went through. Their journey is always going to be their journey. Their experience is always going to be their experience, but I'm able to lay out a map to show that it is possible to get to the other side of what it is you're going through. Anything that you are experiencing, if you choose to, can be created and can be offered back in service to others who are looking for the transformation and the healing and the moving through that you can offer them. And this is why I think the times that we're living in, the best of times and the worst of times in some respects, but ultimately the freedom for us to move into just a higher energetic resonance of who we are is now. And when it comes to choosing who you do go to for healing, also ask yourself questions as well, as like, what expectations do you have of the practitioner that you're leaning into to assist you with your healing? And are you also prepared to do your share of the work? Because ultimately, when people come to me for coaching, it's like I'm offering you solutions. I'm not doing the work for you. I can't do the work for you. I can't tell you what to do, but I can reflect back to you what it is that you need to see about yourself, or what it is that would assist you if you saw about yourself that can move you through, showing you areas that maybe you wouldn't be able to see on your own, but also keeping you accountable and keeping you moving forward to the vision that you have for yourself and I see for yourself, and I'm helping you to align to that. Because in assisting you, and knowing that that's not only just going to assist you, but it's also going to assist the wider world around you, your family, your partnership, your work, transforming your life in so many ways, more so than you probably even realize when you embark on any kind of healing journey. And then ways that we heal ourselves on a daily basis is, how are we feeding ourselves in terms of what are we listening to, what are we watching, what are we reading, what are we eating? How are we with our conversations? What conversations are we having with people? Who are the people around us? Are they giving us the space and the room to actually move into a more healed version of ourselves? Are we still keeping ourselves small and keeping ourselves attached to people who just don't see us for who we can be? Why do we feel that we need to stay crunched down in a minimized version of ourselves in those environments? Why don't we want to be more than it is? And if it is that we want to be more and we want to kind of step into a more healed version of ourselves, oftentimes it may mean that we need to create space from the situation that we are in that is not able to assist us in our growth. And that doesn't mean that it's forever, but it may mean that for a moment in time we need that space. And also, in showing that you can go out there and heal yourself, you're also going to be offering inspiration to the others that at that point in time may feel triggered by the fact that you don't want to be around them, and it can get into blame and shame. But you're doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for all the people around you. And don't forget the beautiful things such as meditation, for mindfulness, prayer, gratitude. All of these can then foster a deeper connection with your inner self. And the more that you can witness yourself from your higher self, and the more that you can commune with your inner self about what is the next step, what is right for me, and feel into that and allow yourself to be led from that point, it fosters a trust. It fosters an unshakable bond that you see when things come towards you, and you're just moving, you can move through them with ease. All of that being said, and all of that I've mentioned is to add to that we also approach healing with caution and awareness about how we are taking this on. What mindset are we going in with? And this is something that I've witnessed in the age that we're at now, where people are more open to the idea of healing, is also that we don't get trapped in this perpetual loop of healing and always feeling that we're flawed and there is something to heal. We do have aspects of ourselves that we need to heal, but what position are we taking with that? Are we coming at it from a point of view of, I'm a broken soul and I have all these flaws and there's always something else and I can't move out of it? Or are we looking at it from the higher self point of view, where we're like, something else is coming up, let's feel that, let's move through that, let's deal with that? Because even though you're moving in the same direction, the point of view that you adopt in order to do that will transform the way you feel about your healing, and also your experience of your healing. If you approach your healing from the point of view of, as I move and experience myself from this higher aspect, from my higher energetic resonance, as it were, as all of these old little things just kind of pop up and re-emerge in my field, I'm able to just notice them and move through them, as opposed to if I'm kind of pulling myself through another thing and another thing that keeps coming up. And it takes a moment to get there and trust that you can do and move through that. And it's not a way of bypassing anything. It's a way of recognizing that you have the power within yourself. And if you want to work with other practitioners to help you see the areas that you can't necessarily see. We have to remember that ultimately, when it comes to our body, the more that we can get out of the way of our body and our spirit, the more it will heal itself. And the same can be said for the soul. And this is not about being passive or bypassing or not taking any responsibility, but knowing that if we get out of the way of always looking for something, then, and if we live our life consciously and from the heart and with a good intention and focus, addressing things as they arise, not looking at ourselves from a point of view of being flawed, we can then allow the space of the new to come to us. And just to share with that, for me, definitely the past couple of years have been the most healing. One of the things that was conducive to that was just moving slightly out of the centre of the busy city of London. What it took for me was slowing right down, being still and finding a peace that I had never known. And in that peace, I found clarity. I was able to solidify my connection with my inner voice, my intuition, my higher self, and develop a trust that I've never really allowed to permeate my life to the extent that it has now. And that is not to say that I wasn't never led by my intuition and my visions, but for this time round, it feels that I've just so plugged into it deeper. Looking back over the years, and as I'm writing my book now as well, just remembering that I've had instances of this all over my life, that I kind of like flowed with it and flowed out of it, flowed with it and flowed out of it. Whereas now I'm like, well, Spirit has been with me all of this time, and I was alternating whether I was leaning in or leaning out. But looking at when I leant into it, how it helped me, and how now that I stay at this vantage point of being in line with my intuition, my higher self, how different my experience is. And that's not to say that things don't happen, but the experience of how I move through them is so much different. And that's what I share in the Embody Higher Energetic Resonance course, which I remind you again is completely free when you sign up for the mailing list. From Louise L. Hay. You have the power to heal your life, and you need to know that. We think so often that we're helpless, but we're not. We always have the power of our minds. Claim and consciously use your power. Thank you again for being with me on another episode of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. A reminder to you as well, if you're listening to this prior to the 30th of November 2023, if you follow the link in the show notes, then you can join me on the free online workshop that I'll be holding, 3 Steps to Vocal Confidence, where I'll be guiding you through this interactive workshop and practices for each of the 3 steps so that you will feel transformation in your voice and how you show up in the world, because the world needs your voice. I hope to see you there. Also, as well with that, I am going to remind you that if you sign up for the mailing list, you will get the free Embody Higher Energetic Resonance course, as well as the Monday emails that are an accompaniment to each of these episodes. If you want to go deeper with me, then join me for my Higher Energetic Resonance Spiritual Life Coaching Program. Again, look in the show notes for the link. Find out more about that, book yourself on a discovery conversation with me, and we can see how we can work together. We are moving into another year on the clock, 2024. Make that one the one that really makes a difference in your life. If you want to link up with me, my website is carolmaywhittick.com, carolmaywhittick.com. We've also got me on social media, which is Carol May Whittick on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and Kazmic, Cazmick on Instagram. Have an amazing week. Look out for the email on Monday, and see you next time.